This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. And yes, I think we're good on the retake, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Before we even get started, I want to remind you, we have 2 great events getting ready to take place. Next Thursday, we'll be at Legends in New York City for the draft party. And folks, I think the Knicks are going to be busy at the draft. Word is born, I think the Knicks are going to be busy at the draft. So I want you to be there at the draft party with me. You know what I'm saying? At Legends. You can register right now for free. It's a free event. You can register right now. The link is at the top of your YouTube chat. It's also in the description of this video. And then on July 1st, we're going to be upstate Albany, outside of Albany, doing our first annual NBK cookout. So we want you to join us there. And if you're going to be with us and you want a shirt, make sure you get your ticket tonight or tomorrow, because I got to put that order in tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be dope. We got games, basketball games, doing a live podcast, content creation. It's a family-friendly event. You know, it's in a very, very dope spot. So please make sure you join us. Get with us, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's talk about these topics. Let's talk about Zion. Let's talk about Bradley Beal again. And Jay from Washington Heights, he said that intro track is catchy. I appreciate you, brother. Big shout out to my man D.O., who rapped over it. I actually made the track, the beat itself. My man D.O. rapped over it. But I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate it. But yeah, let's talk about this stuff, because there's a lot of things, folks, a lot of things that can be going on this offseason. So many rumors out there right now. Some rumors I love, some rumors I hate. You know what I mean? But right now, there's a big discussion about Zion and whether or not the New Orleans Pelicans are going to give him up. You know what I mean? He's been in the news for all the wrong reasons lately. You dig? I'm not even going to get into all of that. Not even going to get into it. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere, all over Twitter, all over Instagram and everything about Zion and his escapades. You know what I'm saying? His entanglements and all of that. We're not going to get into that. It's some crazy stuff, but we're not going to get into that right now. This ain't the platform at the moment. But because of all of this and the fact that he hasn't played, it's looking like Zion might be on the move, or the Pelicans might be kind of done with Zion. You know what I mean? I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I understand. You know, he's in the newspaper right now more than he's been on the court, it feels like. I don't know about newspaper. You know, I don't want to show my age and whatnot. But he's in the news. He's on social media with all the wrong things. So the Pelicans, maybe, there's rumors out there and talks that they're really, really interested trying to get Scoop. And that if they're going to make a trade, they're going to move up in the draft, maybe try to get that 3rd pick, Zion could be on the move. I don't know if that necessarily means New York is even in the conversation, to be honest with you. Because you got teams like the Portland Trailblazers who are trying to build around Damian Lillard. And if they can move that 3rd pick for Zion, that may be something that they do. It may be something they do. But, of course, Knicks fans, a lot of Knicks fans are going to be all over Zion. You know what I mean? And they're going to want to make that move. They're going to want to make that move. I already know it. A lot of Knicks fans already. There's some that do, some that don't. And to be honest with you right now, Zion's contract is very, very reasonable. To be a 22-year-old young man who gives you the kind of output that he gives you. Very reasonable contract for Zion. Next season, he'll make $33.5 million. 24-25, he'll make $36.1 million. The next season, he'll make $38.8 million. And then in 26-27, he'll make $41.5 million. Listen, that is a good contract for Zion. I believe it's a good contract for Zion. The issue is not his contract. The issue is his health. We all know this. The issue is his health. And you can see, if you look down below all of those numbers there, you'll see that Zion has a stipulation in his contract, or a clause in his contract, about his weight. Reportedly, that clause says that he needs to be 295 or less. You talk about unique contracts, because we were talking last night about Bradley Beal having one of the most unique contracts in the NBA right now, the only player in the NBA to have a no trade clause. This is pretty unique for Zion. Now, what's that say about Zion? If there is a clause in your contract to say that you got to be 295 pounds or less, I'm sure he's not the only person that ever had that type of a clause in his contract, but what's that say about that player? That means they don't trust that player. They don't trust that player to stay in shape. And for all intents and purposes, Zion Williamson has struggled in that category, staying in shape, keeping his weight down. And when you look at, in my opinion, his injury history, I think has a lot to do with his weight, right? You know, Zion, he plays with a lot of power, a lot of speed. I don't know if your body is built to play with that kind of power and speed. So now if you've got extra weight on top of that kind of power and speed, can your legs, your knees, your ankles, can it handle it? You know what I'm saying? So yes, it's important that Zion keep his weight down to a certain standard. Now, I will say, in the video that was put out, you know, him and his fiance or whoever announcing their baby, he looked to be in pretty good shape. Not gonna lie, he looked to be fit and lean. You know what I mean? So hopefully he's caught on and he understands what it is that he needs to do. I still think it's risky. I'm not gonna lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's really risky. There's something in me, inside of me, that tells me that Zion may not have a long career. I don't know what it is. I just feel like, I don't know. I don't want to jinx him. I don't want to say anything bad about his career, because I hope that he has a great career. And I hope that he has a long career and becomes one of the greatest to ever play in the league. I really do. But I just feel, I'm afraid a little bit. I am afraid that that injuries are going to hamper his career. And you're not going to get what we thought we were going to get from Zion Williamson. That's what I'm afraid of. You know what I mean? That's what I'm afraid of. Good contract. Obviously, he's a great basketball player. He'll kill the box office. We know that. He's going to kill the box office. I mean, people are going to come out in droves. Madison Square Garden is already packed. It's going to be even crazier. His jersey is selling, all that kind of stuff. We know it. We get all of that. I get all of that. But is it smart for the long-term health of the Knicks? That's my question. Zion Williamson, last season, 22-23. He averaged 26 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. He shot 60.8% from the field, and he shot 36.8% from the three-point line. Shot 71.4% from the free throw line. Those are great numbers, no doubt about it. And, he's going to get better. He's going to get better. But also, ladies and gentlemen, last season, Zion, he only played 29 games. Since he's been in the league, 2019, 2020, it's when Zion came into the league. It's not when he came into the league. Maybe that's the first year that he played. I don't know. 24 games. In 2020, 2021, 61 games. He did not play in 21-22 for injury. Last season, he played 29 games. I mean, he's played 114 games in his career, ladies and gentlemen. But he's had the opportunity to play over 200 games in his career. He's only played 114. He's been there 50% of the time. Now, there's been plenty of players, Joel Embiid is one of them, who early in their career dealt with a ton of injuries. But then now you look at Joel Embiid and he seems to be there. He's still, I don't know if he's played an exact, 82 games or anything like that. Not many people do, but he's there. Maybe Zion will be one of those guys. I don't know. So I'm a little bit nervous about taking on that contract. I ain't going to lie to you. Not going to lie to you at all. Not going to lie to you at all. And listen, if you're taking on that contract, if you're trading for Zion, you're moving Julius Randle. You have to. There's no doubt about it. It's the only way it's going to work. Right? You're moving Julius Randle. So you're moving what's now for potential, right? For a player that's good now, obviously in Zion, but also the potential that he's going to be great and he's going to be there. The thing about Julius Randle, like him or not, Julius Randle has been healthy for the Knicks for the most part. There's something to say for being there. Zion has not been healthy. You know what I mean? He's not been healthy for the New Orleans Pelicans. Is the trade-off worth it? I guess that's what I want to ask you. Is the trade-off worth it? I see people in the chat saying, "Oh, well, you get rid of Randall's attitude and this and that." I hear it. But then you inherit a guy who may not be on the floor for you. Is that trade-off worth it? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I know people are going to say, you just like Julius Randle. It's not even about that. Because if Zion, let's just say Zion he's been healthy, but his off-the-court issues, the Pelicans didn't like it, and they wanted to move him, I would be all for it. But I'm afraid that Zion's not going to be healthy. And we're going to be complaining that Zion can't stay healthy. And we don't make the playoffs, or we barely make the playoffs, or make the play-in because Zion is not healthy. That's what I'm afraid of when it comes to Zion Williamson. You know what I mean? That's what I'm afraid of. I don't think I'm making a trade. I'll be honest with you. Is he going to be, if he stays healthy, he's going to be twice the player that Julius Randle is, I think. I think he'll be an all-NBA player. He'll be an all-star. He will. But will he get there? Will his body allow him to get there? That's what I'm concerned about. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like my man Stephen A. Smith said, he's doing a lot with his lower extremities, but it's not all on the basketball court, though. But, he's 22 years old. He can do what he wants. Not married. He can do what he wants when it comes to that respect. I just don't know. Let me get my man Tony Crow in the building because I want to know what he thinks about this whole situation with Zion. If Zion is going to be moved, would he want him to come to the Knicks for Julius Randle? All right, so let me get my man in the building again. Zion Williamson, ladies and gentlemen. Big possibility that the New Orleans Pelicans want to move on from Zion. That's could be risky. I think it could be risky, but let me get my man in the building. We can talk about this. Tony Crow, what's up, my brother? How you feeling, man?
Shout out to the chat. Yo, Blackest Time. Sin was good.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Zion, man. I think if I was in Zion's camp, I'd be all in. You know what I mean? I'd be like, get me to New York. I think he does need a change of scenery. I think he needs some bets. But for us, man, I think it's too big of a risk. Now, I know I'm considered a Julius Randle supporter or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm on that side of the camp. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just too big of a risk. It has nothing to do with how I feel about Randle. It's more about Zion being available and being able to play.
Right.
And there's no guarantee there.
Right.
And if you're looking at his track record, it's not good. You know what I mean? It's not on the positive side. There's nothing that says, oh, he could turn this around. There's nothing that really, you know what I mean? There's no evidence pointing to that. So it's really just wishful thinking. So I couldn't do it. A year ago, I probably would have said yes.
Right.
But you coming off of another year where, pardon me, coming off another year, he barely played. So I think it's too big of a risk. And coming off the season we had, the improvement we had, you know what I mean? Even if you're looking at it in the 3-year span, going into the playoffs 2 out of 3 years, I would be more on the side of continuing to grow than bringing a new guy in and kind of trying to figure it out. You know, God forbid he don't play. I mean, if he plays, I think it's great. But you know what I mean? There's no guarantee on that.
No doubt about it. I hear you. Let me get to
the contract. I would do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Let me get to the caller real quick, and then see where we're going. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Is this for me?
This for you, my brother. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm good, man. Good, Tim. This is Raw Hebrew.
Hey, Raw, what's going on, my man? How you feeling?
Good. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Glad to hear from you.
To check in. I don't always obviously get a chance to do it, but I'm glad to check in. You're one of the few channels I would definitely want to check in. Encourage everybody to jump on when they get a chance. All right. On the subject of Zion, I don't know who started the rumor of Zion Williamson on the trade block. But if I'm correct, and tell me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that somebody was starting the rumor because the Pelicans were interested in getting a top pick. And Zion would be a top 3 pick, right?
Right. So Brian Windhorst.
Therefore, the Knicks are not involved because we don't have a top 3 pick.
Right. So Brian Windhorst, Wendy, he said the Pelicans are interested in Scoot Henderson, which would take them getting a top pick. And if that were the case, they've got to move somebody that's worthy of a top pick, and that the thought around the league and the idea around the league is that Zion could be the guy that they're willing to move.
The guy they'd move. Okay. So, all right, let's logically look at this. Now, I know that's difficult for some, but let's logically look at that. If they wanted Scoot, right? And so they'd be either dealing with Charlotte or Portland.
Right.
If they wanted, because those two guys are in line, those two teams are in line to get him. So you're dealing with one of those teams. And so if you're willing to send Zion out, because I'm thinking of it like this. Let's assume Zion follows the Embiid path. He has some problems health-wise in his first couple of seasons, but then eventually he gets it right And, you know, although he's not an 82 a game a year player, he's good enough to get MVP. Okay.
Right.
He plays enough games to get you into Eastern Conference Finals territory and MVP territory.
Okay.
If that's the case, if that was the case now, if I'm David Griffin, I would want to wait and see if I can get him to that point, because I can pair him with Brandon Ingram. And when those two are healthy together, to me, the Pelicans are a top 4 team in the West.
Okay.
If you can get those two with the supporting cast of a Herbert Jones and the Trey Murphy III, so on and so forth. So
Right.
if the Pelicans are willing to trade him for a rookie point guard, now, as good as I believe Scoot is, it will take him through 2 or 3 seasons to begin to realize his NBA potential, as good as he is. So you're willing to basically put yourself back 2 or 3 seasons. I gotta believe that's the guy that's saying, I'm your competitor and I'm going to give you the shirt off my back. And I'm going to be careful, because why would they be doing that for me? Why would they be doing that for this kid that they got to wait for? So, first of all, the Knicks are not involved with this at all, because we could discuss all kind of trade packages, but if they're looking for a top pick, the Knicks are not involved. So we don't even need to discuss that. But in terms of trading Zion, I wouldn't do it unless I didn't believe he would be able to get healthy. Because I'm going to have to now set my clock back. I can understand New Orleans wanting that point guard. They were looking for one with Kyra Lewis. They were looking for one with C.J. McCollum. They've been, like in the Knicks, looking for a point guard. And Scoot is that guy. But if I'm willing to now wait 2 or 3 seasons for Scoot Henderson to be ready at a high level in the NBA, because that's what they all take a little time. Point guard is one of the hardest positions to learn. So he's going to take some time, and he needs some work on his jumper. He needs work. You know, he's got all the talent in the world, but he needs some work. But he's not going to come in and lead you to the playoffs in his first season. So if they're willing to give up Zion, I'm thinking there's something wrong with Zion. They're not going to just do that, because if Zion is healthy, you mentioned his stats when he's healthy.
Right.
And if he can, you know, I don't think there's many players in the league that could deal with him when he's healthy. So, and on both sides of the ball. So if he is healthy and you got Brandon Ingram and the rest of that crew, and they started making a run at the end of last season, if you put Zion in there, you vault into the top of the West to me. So why would you trade that? If you're going to trade that, I'm feeling I'm going to go with Tony. I'm staying away from this, because this is a trap.
I feel you.
This is a
I feel
trap.
you. I feel
That's
you.
what I would say.
I feel you 100%. And the only way the Knicks really get involved with this is if there's a 3-way trade somehow.
Yeah, if it was a 3-way, but they don't actually, I mean, unless they need the salary. Like Portland, if Portland were to get Zion, you're trying to keep Dame, right? Because now you got Dame Lillard, and you're probably going to sign, you're going to sign Grant, and you're going to try to move salary to get Zion, which is not going to be very easy to do, but it can be done. And so if they're willing to trade the 3rd pick, they obviously are not going to rebuild. So they're going to be looking to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Retool. They're looking to retool.
Right.
Charlotte is going to be rebuilding. I mean, to me, they just got to flat out rebuild. I don't know if they're doing this because they're expecting Zion to form with Melo and start that rebuilding process. But either way, they both got to come up with a lot of money. So you're right. They may need a 3rd team. Need a 3rd team. In that case, yes, any of the remaining, 29 teams would be in the bidding, for him. But and to be honest, if the Knicks were, I just don't like thinking about things I don't think is going to happen. That's why I'm saying if they're looking for the 3rd pick, unless it's a 3rd team, I don't see the Knicks getting involved. But if the Knicks were to get involved, even though he's 29 games a year, as long as I really believe in Obi Toppin. So if they have Obi Toppin, and let's say Zion plays 30 games and gets hurt, I believe in Obi Toppin. And I think if I give him 30 minutes a game, I'm very satisfied with what would happen. If we needed to move Julius Randle. So that would be the benefit to me. You got a possible big time MVP style player in Zion Williamson. No drama. Even if he plays 30 games, I would take that chance because, like I said, only because we have Obi Toppin and we'd be able to keep Obi Toppin. Even if Zion was healthy, Obi would get more minutes than the 15 he's getting now. So I would like to do that if we could. But until there's a 3rd team involved, I refuse to even acknowledge that this is a possibility because to me, they're looking for the third pick and they're looking to start over.
Yeah.
And, what we're talking about, really.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. But I don't want to take too much time, man. Like I said, I really enjoy your show.
Appreciate
You're
you,
one
man.
of the highly intelligent NBA people that know basketball. And I like the show, man. I just don't get a chance to catch it on time. I'm very blessed to be able to catch it tonight. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you. And I watch your playbacks all the time. Trust me.
I appreciate that, man. I
do.
appreciate
I watch your playbacks all the time. I appreciate you, Raw.
All right, my brother. Take care, man.
Take care. Have a good one. Tony?
Yeah, shout out to Raw. Just a couple of the points that he made. Well, first off, I think the Zion thing kind of was speculation anyway. I think like the only fact or the only like truth that we know is that they're interested in Scoot. Because initially the talk was about Brandon Ingram being available. And I think it's all speculation. Like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, I wouldn't trade Brandon. There's no way I would trade Brandon." And I mean, I'm talking about the Wendy's, the guys who do the Hoop Collective, his whole crew that do the Hoop Collective podcast. So I think they kind of pushed it to, well, what about Zion? And then, I mean, I think that's how the whole Zion discussion even started, because initially it was really about Ingram, and I think that was more of a Ingram being paired with Dame.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And,
so
yeah.
But then they're like, oh, well, I wouldn't trade Ingram. You know what I mean? Like this guy is really good. So
right.
I agree with Raw though. I don't see Scoot is unproven, right? I know they need a point guard, but
the
only thing, somebody more established.
The only thing that I can think of is that they're tired of dealing with Zion, and that if they're looking to move him, then there's some serious red flags there, because and that's the reason why if I would not want him, because I'm just afraid of what comes along with it as far as his health and all of that stuff. Now, the only way it could happen, though, is if, in my opinion, if you were getting Zion, Randall is being shipped out. He's probably going to Portland. The third pick is going back to the Pelicans. And then, of course, there has to be some other money involved somewhere around there. If you're bringing back someone like Zion, there's no way you're keeping Randall. It's got to go. Right? There's no way you're keeping Randall. That wouldn't make any sense at all. And then you'd have to ask the question, Portland would be asking the question, do we Randall or Zion? That's the question that they would be asking. To be honest with you,
I could see them wanting Randall.
I could see them wanting Randall.
I could see Dame wanting Randall as opposed to the unsure issue with Zion.
With Zion, because Randall, for all that he is, people like him. Some people like him, don't like him, whatever it is. He's been healthy for the most part for the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, he's coming off of surgery too. You know what I'm saying? But his is not that serious of a surgery. He should be fine. But if that thing happened, Zion went to Portland for the number 3 pick, it makes me wonder, would they be straight up going young and be looking for a rebuild at that point and say, we're going to try to build around this young guy? And if that's the case, is Brandon Ingram available? That's the guy. That's where I would be looking.
Even if that was the case, then though, why would Zion be the first move? You know what I mean? Like, you would think Zion should be the last move. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think
you move
that
Ingram, you move CJ. You know what I mean? Because
I think Zion would be the first move, because you probably can get. Maybe you can get the better, you can get more picks. You can get your picks. This is how you jumpstart it. You want the third pick to jumpstart your rebuild? Zion can get you to probably, maybe, I don't know, possibly get you that third pick more than Ingram. Possibly. They both got injury histories, but possibly get you that third pick more than Ingram, and maybe and more, the third pick, maybe some other draft picks. The money has to match. Who knows what else makes it work? So maybe Zion can get you a bigger package than Ingram can at the moment. You know what I'm saying? So, and also, that's a huge smoke signal to everybody too. Yeah, they traded Zion. We're in rebuild mode. We're starting over. Pick up the phone, call us. Let's talk about Brandon. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about CJ.
Here's the other part though. Why? I mean, it's again, it's a little bit unlikely because they weren't that far off from being at least like a playoff team. You know what I mean? Like they've been right on the cusp of the playoffs. So, and technically they've been doing that like mostly without Zion.
Right.
So I could see them saying, well, let's get a guy who could give us 82 games as opposed to, you know what I mean? And see where we go with it.
See where we go with it. Right.
Because we're right there.
Right.
So I feel like it's kind of, I mean, Zion does make the most sense if they're gonna move anybody because he's been the least available and they've been a decent, at the very least, a decent team. You know what I mean? Without him.
Yeah.
So but a full rebuild for them.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody's probably gonna lose their job if that's the case. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, how long have they been at it with Zion and Brandon and these guys?
I mean, the AD trade was 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, about 4 years ago. Yeah.
So you gotta say, roughly 4 years. So I mean, that was the start. I mean, it's not inconceivable that they could be like, all right, we gave it 4 years. Yeah, I mean, it don't look like it's working, but just looking at them from afar, they never looked like the bottom of the West. You know what I mean? Like they never looked like they weren't competitive or anything of the such. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, if I was a Pelicans fan, I'd be like, yo, why y'all trying to give up? We right there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, nah, I feel you. I feel you. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a call, 516-362-5212. I want to know what you think about the situation. What do you think about Zion situation? We're about to talk about the Bradley Beal situation. I want to know what you think about the Bradley Beal situation. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Nissan Davidov. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate you, my friend. It's always appreciated when you guys, hook us up like that. And then Mike K, thank you for the super chat. He said, New York has the Bucks 25th, 5 through 30. New Orleans has 1 through 4. Bucks, new ownership may want to tank, but New Orleans has their picks. Giannis to New Orleans. Picks go back. Julius Randle to the Bucks. Zion to New York. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, that would be a super mega trade. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Listen, I'll say this though. If even if Milwaukee does want to rebuild or start over, they're gonna start with Giannis. No doubts about that. In my opinion,
that's the guy I want. Like, I'm not. If we in a 3-team trade, like, I'm not getting Zion while Giannis goes somewhere else. I want Giannis.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But if Milwaukee was going to start over, they're starting over with Giannis. Ain't no way, in my opinion, that they are going to move on from Giannis unless Giannis asks, unless he asks out, he wants out. You know what I mean? Only way that I see that happen. The next person, we talked about this dude last night. All right, next person that could be on the move, and now this is sounding even more and more likely that he will be on the move. It's Bradley Beal, ladies and gentlemen. According to Shams, the Washington Wizards and Bradley Beal will work together to find a trade for the 3-time All-Star if the team elects to reset the roster in the near future. So let me say that again so I say it right. The Washington Wizards and Bradley Beal will work together to find a trade for the three-time All-Star if the team elects to reset the roster in the near future. I mean, to be honest with you, man, they ain't going anywhere real fast. They need to reset right now. You know what I mean? And then, of course, Adrian Wojnarowski, according to his sources, say as rivals begin reaching out to the Wizards to explore possibilities of trading for All-Star guard Bradley Beal, President Michael Winger and Beal's agent, Mark Bartelstein, of Priority Sports, are staying in close contact to discuss scenarios presented to the franchise. So it sounds like sounds like they're real close to Bradley Beal being on the move. I'm going to tell you what, if Bradley Beal's on the move, in my opinion, just from what I know, if Bradley Beal's on the move, he's staying on the East Coast. New York, Washington, New York, Philadelphia, places like that.
Don't forget Boston.
Maybe Boston. I don't know if that's too far up for him, but just from what I know, I live in the area, and just from what I know, he's a guy that wants to be rooted, wants his family to be rooted in one place, kids to grow up in one place, that kind of person, which is one of the reasons why Bradley Beal has not wanted to leave D.C., because he's rooted here, and he wants to remain rooted here. Now, if you're talking about Philadelphia, it's a 2.5-hour drive. If you're talking about New York, it's a 4-hour drive, an hour by plane from either place. You know what I mean? So he's able to get where he needs to go, be at his kids' functions and do those type of things because he can commute within an hour. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's probably important to Brad. Now, Boston, is still, hour and a half by flight or something like that. You know what I mean? So that might still be in the conversation. You know what I mean? What do you think about Brad, Tony?
I mean, he might be like, he's high on my list. You know what I mean? Like maybe top 5 overall as far as like the guys that I would want us to go after or what, you know what I mean? Wouldn't mind. And I know everybody, the contract is super high. You know what I mean? Like, but he's one of the guys that I would take the chance on with the contract as opposed to like a cat. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather spend that money on him than Cat. Levine will probably be higher than Beal as far as, because it's a little bit shorter. I mean, it's not as much money. But I mean, I like Beal. I think he would be great here. I would probably want to do the trade before the next season starts, so we only are sending out 40-something million instead of that 50-something million.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, if the season starts, then I'm probably against it, because now we have to match the salary and you know what I mean, and then take that on for one person. At least if we matching the 40-something, you know what I mean, it's a little bit less going out. We still got to pay him the 50 once the season, you know what I mean, once the season start, but it's a little bit less going out. And from what I've heard, the asking price is going to be draft based more than, so basically they're not going to be really concerned about the players coming back. It's going to be more about the draft compensation. So I could see, like, we could probably put Fournier in there without a problem. We could put Rose in there without a problem. You may have to clarify the Rose thing, but I think we could trade him before the season starts, right? Like before.
So with Rose, just to clarify it and make a quick correction here, the Knicks can trade Rose, but the other team needs to pick up his option. All right. So according to the CBA, you cannot trade a player who is in the last year of their contract or could be in the last year of their contract. So Rose could be in the last year of his contract if the Knicks chose not to pick up his option. So if they send out Derrick Rose I'm assuming that means the other team has to pick up his option. They've got to agree to pick up his option, which could still work for the Wizards, right? Because they get Evan Fournier in the last year of his contract. They get Derrick Rose in the last year of his contract. So, yeah, they got to pay that money next year, but then the following year, they're done. It's off the books.
So that's what I'm saying. A Rose, a Fournier, that's the bulk of the salary. You know what I mean? At that point,
Yeah.
we may only have to throw in the quickly. I say quickly because DC, Baltimore, you know what I mean? The Roots, I don't want to get rid of quickly. That's my guy.
I don't want to get rid of him either, but
I can see him.
I could see it being a move.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
fitting in there, starting, getting everything he wants in his career being there. So, but yeah, it would be a lesser package. So if we're doing it now, you know what I mean? Like before the season, I'm okay with it because I think he fits perfectly as far as what we need. Pure shooting, ball handling.
Are you worried about the backcourt being small?
I mean,
he's 6'4", 207.
I am, but at the same time, I would be more concerned with Dame. You know what I mean? So it's like that's why I would put him above Dame in as not as a player per se, but just as far as the concerns. I'm less concerned. He's a little bit taller than Dame. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm not as high on the move.
No,
I'm not as high on the move as I was a couple of years ago. I look at his contract, and personally, I feel like there's only a few guys that's worthy of that contract. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that Beal is one of them. Now, a couple of years ago, I really wanted the Knicks to go out and get him before his extension before they even negotiated an extension. I was like, I thought he was on a very, very reasonable contract. Obviously he was a little bit younger. He's 29 years old now. A few years ago, I think at that point he was 25 or 26 years old. And I thought it was a really, really good match then. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this. Do you think if he did not have the no trade clause, do you think he'd be hard to move?
Would it be hard to move if he didn't have the no trade clause? I think depends on who the team is.
And I only say that because once he agrees to be traded, that no trade clause no longer exists.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
100%.
So
it doesn't transcend. It doesn't move forward. You know what I mean? Once he drops it, once he really that's it. So the next team that he's on can trade him. So, and that was another reason why it made me look at it a little bit different. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, now that no trade clause is gone.
See, I thought it transferred. I thought that no trade transferred with the team once the trade goes through.
I'll send you the clip. I watched it this morning. Let me see if I can find it while we on here. Yeah, and I'll tell you where the
Yeah, I thought that the contract, I thought it transferred over, and so the other team would inherit that no trade clause as well. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah, because it's literally you know what I mean? It's
because the way I thought it was, I thought that it's in the contract. You can waive it. You can waive it for this trade, but if the other team wants a trade, then you got to go to him as well. You got to go to him, and
you saying the second team?
The second team. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, if you get that clip, send it to me because I want to check it out.
And essentially, he can.
So let me see.
Dictate the trade. He could dictate where he goes and who he's traded for because of that whole veto right. You know what I mean? So now, he has all the power in it. But once it's gone, once he uses it, it's done. I'm gonna find it though.
Yeah, find it because I see a few people in the chat saying that Windhorse said that it transfers. The Athletic said that it transfers over to the next team. So let's find that out because if it doesn't transfer, I think it does. It definitely changes. The way that you look at the contract. But if it transfers, I just feel like the Knicks are caught you know what I mean? You get a few years down the line, and he's 34 years old, and you want to move it, and here you go. You're stuck in a situation, and he's able to choose, his players and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
I didn't find it, but I remember who it was. It was Bill Simmons. That's his name, the Celtic fan.
Oh, the Celtics guy. Yeah.
And the other guy that was with him is one of the three people that be on with the Hoops Collective. But I'm not familiar with his name. I'm gonna find it right now.
Yeah. We'll check it out. I mean, Bradley Beal, man, when you look at his contract in 23-24, we looked at this last night. In 23-24, he makes $46.7 million. In 24-25, he makes $50.2 million. In 25-26, he makes $53.6 million. And in 26-27, he makes $57.1 million. It's a lot of money for a guy. I don't even know if Bradley Beal has ever been out of the second round, to be honest with you. Right? I don't recall him ever going to the Eastern Conference Finals. So you're still getting a player that you talk about all the inexperience that the Knicks have. Bradley Beal at 29 years old, he's been in the playoffs a few times, but he hasn't been deep in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And so now you're still getting a guy who, for the amount of money that he's made, hasn't really been deep in the playoffs, hasn't really made a lot of noise in the playoffs. And right now, when you look at Knicks fans, what are the Knicks fans' number one concern? What do you hear right now? Well, Julius Randle didn't perform in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? We need a guy. We need a guy that we know is going to perform in the playoffs. So far, Bradley Beal hasn't.
But
I'm going to say he's performed. I think he's performed, but he hasn't been able to get deep.
The supporting cast.
I mean, he had John Wall on his team.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
When he had John Wall, Bradley Beal wasn't Bradley Beal yet. You know what I mean? Like he literally became the guy that he is once Wall went down, when he had to carry you know what I mean? Like the Wizards. Now, cause I had this, little argument in the chat in Bleacher Report, I don't know, a couple of days ago maybe. And because a lot of people talk about, empty stats and good players on bad teams. But a lot of times, I think it's unfair to the player when he doesn't have the supporting cast. You know what I mean? Like,
my point is that we're a team that haven't been deep. We're getting a player on this contract that's never been deep in the playoffs either. You know what I'm saying? That's my argument. I mean, I think he's performed, but you still have some inexperience there. I would really, I guess right now, when you look at who might be available, maybe everybody who's going to be available is going to have that inexperience too. You know what I mean?
That's why, like, when you say it, that in inexperience and experience, that's a fair argument. You know what I mean? But when I was arguing with the people saying he's trash, he's a bum, he can't, because he hasn't gotten but so far. And to me, that's unfair. But if you're putting it just on the lack of experience, that's a fact. You know what I mean? You can't argue with a fact. He doesn't have the experience of being deep in the playoffs, far in the play.
So Bobby Marks, this is Bobby Marks, and he's the cap guru. He says Bill has a no trade clause in his contract and is owed, what we have here on the screen. And then he says the no trade clause is transferable to his new team. Yep. So it transfers to the new team. And then there's a 15% trade kicker. But it doesn't matter, Bobby Marks says, because it can't exceed the max salary that's owed. So, that's so there you go. If you get Bradley Beal, you're inheriting that no trade clause, and there you go. You're kind of, the Knicks would be in that position, kind of the same position that they were with Carmelo Anthony back then. But of course, the Knicks are in a much better situation now than they were then. You know what I'm saying? Much better situation. I'm not crazy about it. I'm not going to lie. I really do like Bradley Beal. I think he's a great person. I think, great person, great character. He's the kind of guy that I think Leon Rose and them, when you talk about character and stuff like that, he's a family guy. I think he's the kind of player that Leon Rose would go for. I mean, $46 million right there. That's almost the amount of money that R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle are going to make next season.
Combined.
Right. Combined, that's almost the amount of money that they're going to make. I don't know. I'm a little bit, I'd be concerned about it. You know what I'm saying? I'd be concerned about it. Now,
he's not, like I said, he's not number one on my list.
mm-hmm.
But out of those guys that have the crazy contracts, he's high
Okay.
on that list. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that Bradley Beal makes the Knicks a contender?
I do. Like, I'm basing it off of how far we got this year,
Okay.
how close we were from, you know what I mean? Now, granted, every year is different. Not saying that the path will be the same. The you know what I mean? The seedings and everything will run in our favor, per se. You know what I mean? But I still felt like we could have competed with anybody this year. You know what I mean? And we don't have a shooting guard of his caliber. You know what I mean? We don't have.
That's true.
And it's not like he's just a shooter. You know what I mean? Like I said, once John Wall went down,
mm-hmm.
he had to pick up point guard duties. That wasn't his role before. That wasn't in, you know what I mean, in his everyday arsenal before. He had to be the number one option. He's been the number one option. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he has to be that here.
You don't think so?
I
You don't think he'd be the number one option, the number one scoring option if he? So
let,
you think?
Let me rephrase
Brunson?
it. I don't think he has to carry the same load
okay.
that he had to carry in Washington.
Right.
So
that's without a doubt.
To me, that changes. You know what I mean? Like,
that's without a doubt.
Things a lot.
And listen, Bradley Beal in the playoffs, his first season in the playoffs, 13-14, he averaged 19 points per game. He shot 42% from the field, 41% from three. His next season in the playoffs, 23 points per game, 40% from the field, 36% from three. The next season, 24.8 points per game. It's going up every season, except for one, it drops down a little bit. Next season, 23 points per game. The last time he was in the playoffs in 2021, 30 points per game. He shot 45% from the field, only 21% from three-point line. You know, he's only ever been to the second round, but he's performed. He's performed. You know what I'm saying? He's performed.
And that's the thing. And he performed, but he had to carry the load. You know what I mean? Like, so now I think it becomes easier now with a Brunson, with a Randall. You know what I mean? Like, with the supporting cast.
Where would that backcourt rank in the NBA? As far as
offensively, right up there.
Okay.
Or offensively, right up there.
Would they be able to get it done defensively? And would you need to, because if you're, you know, what you were mentioning earlier, saying that the Wizards would be looking more towards bringing back picks than players. So you're talking about Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, making those contracts, giving those contracts over to the Washington Wizards, and obviously, you be talking about quickly Obi, some other guys to throw in there. So now you're looking at him being into that starting lineup with Brunson, Beal, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Who's going to be the wing defender? Who's going to defend the best player on the court in that situation?
At that point, it has to fall on R.J. Like, that has to be his responsibility. 2 years ago, we saw it, right? like 2 years ago, that was his job, and he did a very good job. Last year, he kind of took a step back defensively.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
would you
the next,
envision RJ going in that trade? Because we had this discussion last night, you know, and we were talking about the 9 or 10 man rotation. I still think there's a wing player, there's a wing slot open in that second unit that I feel like Tom Thibodeau would use a wing player. I think Steph and Josh kind of felt like Tom Thibodeau wants to stick with a 9-man rotation. If you brought in Beal and you only moved out Fournier and Derrick Rose, now you're talking about it's got, you know, it doesn't have to be a 10-man rotation. If he sticks with a 9-man rotation, there's going to be a player out because Grimes was probably moved to the bench. Either Grimes or RJ, I'm assuming it would be Grimes, would move to the bench, where I think there's a slot open there for him at the 3 spot. Emmanuel Quickly, if Quickly is still with the Knicks, Quickly, Josh Hart, Quentin Grimes, Obi, Isaiah Hartenstein. Yeah, I think that either Obi or Quickly would be gone though.
yeah, I think one of the two have to go in the trade too.
Yeah.
What I was saying though is they're not gonna be like, oh, I want him. It's not gonna be one of those situations.
Right.
They'll get to pick one guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the rest will be the salary fillers and expiring contracts, whatever. So I do believe Quickly or Obi would have to go.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer, obviously, Obi, just off of production. You know what I mean? Like, and clear path. There's no clear path for Obi to get more minutes at this point. So I would prefer him, but I think the likely person would be IQ just because of the roots. And, you know, they could extend him. They could give him a starting point guard role. Like he could get everything he dreamed of there.
No doubt about it, especially with Bradley Beal being gone. Now he becomes a starter on that team and quickly wants to be a starter in the league. You know, so that would actually be a good move for Emmanuel Quickly. I want to remind everyone, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, call in 516-362-5212. I just put the number in the chat, and, you know, I'll bring it across the screen so you can see it. But I want to remind you, we have 2 great events coming up, ladies and gentlemen. 2 great events coming up, and we would love for you to be there. All right, first of all, we have the draft party coming up on June 22nd at Legends. All right, just 5 minutes from the Garden. Make sure you join us there because I just believe that the Knicks are going to be making some moves during the draft. They don't have a draft pick, but I think they're going to do some things during the draft. It benefits them, I believe it benefits them to do things during the draft, right? Because you got Derrick Rose and you got Evan Fournier. If you move past the draft and you haven't made a move, you might want to, you know, they're probably going to waive Derrick Rose, right? So while you can make the move during the draft. So I think it's going to be a hot draft for the Knicks, even though they don't have a pick. So we want you to be there with us at Legends. All right, there's a link in the YouTube chat, pinned to the top of the YouTube chat, where you can go register to be there with us. It's a free event. Then we have our first annual summer cookout. It's going to be in Albany. All right, just below Albany, a little bit lower than Albany. We want you to join us there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Basketball games, card games, music, doing some live podcasts, content creators there just creating content. All right, it's a family-friendly event. It's going to be really, really dope. Obviously, there's going to be food there. We would love for you to join us. You can get your tickets by clicking the link that's at the top of your YouTube chat. And I actually just put it in the chat once again. All right, please make sure that you join us, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and it's also in the description of this video, so you can check us out and be there with us. Getting back to go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just gonna say the reason I mentioned the Celtics as far as a option for Bradley Beal. I mean, I don't know if they would do it or not, but the Brown situation, you know what I mean? Like now they could, extend him or give him that super max. Bradley Beal, Louis, they both from St. Louis, right?
They both from St.
Bradley
Louis.
Beal,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean, grew up kind of mentoring him. So I know they want to play together. You know what I mean? Like that could be a way to kind of keep Tatum happy, and move on from Brown if there's questions about whether he wants to be there, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So that's the only reason why, you know what I mean, you get a good guy in Brown to replace Beal, and I could see Tatum not having an issue. Like, oh, Dad, you traded Brown. Oh, but you got Beal here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good.
Yeah. I could definitely see that happen. And, there's been a lot of rumors and whatnot about Bradley Beal potentially going to Boston to play with dude over there. Just lost his name. His name just went out my head that quick.
Tatum.
Jason Tatum went out of my head that quick. Other people that could be on the move, I want to know what your interest is. Russell Westbrook could be on the move. Obviously, if he doesn't re-sign with the Los Angeles Clippers, he'll be a free agent. Any interest at all in Russell Westbrook from you? There's none for me because we need somebody who can shoot. I really don't have interest in Russell Westbrook. We get enough turnovers, crazy turnovers from Randall. I don't want Russell Westbrook to add to that. You know what I'm saying? And he can't shoot.
Him here is gonna be like a whole another Lakers situation.
Yeah.
He needs to go. Like, I like him on the Clippers. I can see him in Miami. He needs a place that there's no question about him starting. You know what I mean? There's no question about his style of play. Like, they just gonna let him be him.
Yeah.
And he would have to conform if he came here. So no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we didn't have Brunson, you know what I mean? We were still in dire need of some type of spark at that position. But yeah, he would have to be a reserve here. Like so no.
Yeah, and you know what? With Westbrook, he start bricking. The crowd is gonna start booing. I don't know what that's gonna look like. You know what I'm saying? That could be a situation. I don't have any. I don't want to deal with Russell Westbrook. Not. I don't want to deal with him, but he can't shoot. I don't think he's a good fit for this team. You know what I mean? Shout out to my guy Ron from Still Knicks Fans in the chat. As a matter of fact, John from Still Knicks Fans is going to be at the cookout, man. Looking forward to that. John is going to be at the cookout, and if you're going to get tickets to the cookout, you got to get it tonight or tomorrow, because I got to get the T-shirt orders in tomorrow. All right, so. There's an opportunity there to buy a T-shirt. So, get it, buy it, purchase it as soon as possible.
And it's fire.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope.
I don't know if you put it up or not, but
nah, I didn't put it up. It's gonna be dope. I don't know. Anybody else or anything else that you've heard or read, that piqued your interest about the Knicks in the offseason?
Who did I miss on your teams to watch?
Teams to watch. Obviously the Wizards were one of them. I had the Pelicans as one of them. Let me see, who else did I have? I had the Pacers as one of them. The Charlotte Hornets. We just went over Minnesota. Obviously with the whole thing with Karl Anthony Towns. We went over, I forgot who we went over. Who else?
Toronto?
The other day. We talked about Toronto. Yep, because Toronto could break down if Fred VanVleet decides to leave, which there's going to be some opportunities for Fred VanVleet. So. Yeah, he opted out. There's going to be some opportunities for Fred VanVleet out there on the market, I believe.
I know we briefly talked about the Chris Paul thing.
Yeah,
I think he's best suited. If they don't keep Westbrook, I wouldn't mind him going back to the Clippers.
I could see him going there. I could see him going back to the Clippers.
Obviously the Lakers, but I think the Lakers want to kind of handle their in-house situation and figure out what they're gonna do. But like, and then they maybe bring him in at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna wait for the Lakers. So I think, you know what I mean, whenever he's free to make his decision or however it plays, he's gonna try to get that done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Lakers. I think the timing is not gonna be perfect. He's gonna find a team before they are.
I mean, at this point, I think he's only going to go to a team that can possibly contend. I can't see him going anyplace else. You know what I mean? Now, look,
especially as a free agent,
yeah, right. And look, if the Knicks trade for Bradley Beal and Emmanuel quickly goes in that trade, you're going to need another guard off the bench that can handle the rock. Going to need somebody, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you make that move, if the Knicks make that move for Bradley Beal, they've told everybody, we're trying to contend right now.
Mm-hmm.
That went, you know, we've opened up the window and our timeline is now. You know what I mean? So you got to go get the guys that got the basketball IQ. You need that veteran leadership. You need all of that. Chris Paul, I can guarantee you Leon Rose will give Chris Paul a call. As a matter of fact, even if he doesn't move Emmanuel quickly, I think he's giving Chris Paul a call. That's his guy. That's one of his guys. You know what I mean? You know, they've got that kind of a relationship. And like I was speaking about with Steph and whoever else was on the show, if anybody can convince Chris Paul to be a backup point guard, it would be Leon Rose. Right? He was his agent for a long part of his career. You know what I mean? I think Chris Paul probably trusts Leon Rose. You know what I mean? And I think he'd be the guy that could convince him. If anybody can, I think he'd be the guy that could.
Out of all the players you've discussed so far, who would you put number 1, 2, and 3 on your pecking order list? As far as
that's a tough one. That's a tough one. You know, we've had conversations about KP. I'm not big on KP coming in to replace Julius Randle, but if he's coming in, I don't even know if I want him to come in for Mitch because of the defensive thing. But if he was coming in, that's where I would see him. You know, as a stretch 5. I don't think KP's coming in to come off the bench. You know what I'm saying? So, sounds like he's opting into that $36 million. Right? And so that he'll be a free agent.
Not a bad number, though.
You know, be a free agent next season. So if you're going to make a move for KP, obviously you got to match that too. Right? You got Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone I'm super crazy about right now as far as these guys. I don't know if there's anyone I'm super crazy about with it. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
When I consider everything, LaVine is probably the highest on my list.
Okay.
Just because he don't have that super duper max, you know what I mean? Like, so the contract is still decent, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't gonna kill you. He's another one that brings exactly what we need, you know, similar to Beal. About it. But he has 3 inches? Pause. You know what I mean? He's taller. Definitely more athletic.
And his contract is maybe a little smaller.
Yeah,
than Bradley Beal's.
He goes up to 40, right?
It goes up to 48.9. That's in 26-27, the last year. That's a player option, right? So Zach LaVine makes 40.6 next season, 43 in 24-25, 45.9 in 25-26, and then 48.9 in 26.7. But that's a player option.
And so those first 3 years, that's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't gonna kill the franchise,
right? And then there's a trade kicker, a 15% trade kicker if he's traded. which
Not saying they will, but players can always waive that, right?
I think they can waive it. A lot of times, the team that's receiving the player, the teams negotiate who's going to pay the trade kicker. Sometimes the team receiving the player might pay the trade kicker. Sometimes the team sending off the player might pay the trade kicker. You know what I mean? I mean, if I'm a player, I'm not waiving that joint. You know what I mean? I mean, that's another $40 million. That's another 10 million. $8 million or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Like
I
six.
use that little $8 million. I don't want to say little $8 million. I can use that $8 million. You know?
But yeah,
It's
Levine, he brings every dimension, and I don't think he's a defensive liability. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he's not a stopper per se,
right.
but he can play good defense, and his athleticism, his size alone will give him an edge that a Beal, a Lillard, you know what I mean, that these guys won't have.
Right. Now, what I really do like about Zach is, he's a little taller. You know what I mean? I just value having players that are a little bit taller, having that length because of the defensive purposes. For defensive purposes. You know what I'm saying? I think he's 6'6", RJ be 6'7". You already got a small point guard in Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? I think you're a little bit, you're a little bit better equipped to defend, some of these teams that have these athletic wings and things like that. But I will say this.
I'm not low on Kuzma either.
I'm not either.
Looking at him.
I'm not either. And he's not that star type, but he can fit into, there's a spot there, there's a slot there that he can fit into, in my opinion. When you look
and it'll be a little bit cheaper, I believe.
He'd be cheaper. He made $13 million this past season. I think he has a player option for $13 million, which he's definitely going to opt out of that, in my opinion, because he can get more on the market. You know what I mean? So his contract would be, he'd be on a reasonable contract, I think.
Yeah, like.
Let me ask you this: is Bradley Beal the prototype that Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose is looking for? Because you look at Donovan Mitchell. They went, they tried to go after Donovan Mitchell. Now Bradley Beal is here, and according to Ian Begley, the Knicks have already had internal discussions about Bradley Beal long before he was even thought to be made available, right? During the course of the season, he says that they had discussions about Bradley Beal being a target during the offseason. Is that a prototype for the Knicks? Guards like, the height, size, speed of Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell?
I mean, it feels like that, but I would hope that they're not looking. I would hope they're overlooking the size. You know what I mean? Like they're looking at these guys despite their size, not saying, not saying, oh, they gotta be 6'4", you know what I mean? Like you would think they know 6'6" is better than 6'4", you know what I mean? Like if they got the same talent.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Someone may just have a style of play, and you know what I mean? Tom Thibodeau, if you look in the past, he's liked small, shifty, powerful guards.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? That's who Tom Thibodeau's been in the past.
That's a fact.
So, I don't know. He wanted Emmanuel quickly. Deuce. Right? That's kind of, he likes guards like that. So maybe this is the prototype that they're looking at. I don't know.
If that's the case, then that means the next move, I think, is going to be a little bit different, because he also, you know what I mean? Like, if you looked at his wings throughout the years, they've been a bit taller and longer. You know what I mean? Like, you go back to Luol Deng, you know what I mean?
Deng, yep.
Joakim Noah, I mean, he wasn't really playing center initially, you know what I mean? So, like, another 6'11", long. So what would be the next move if that's the case?
I mean, I guess RJ is around, that size of a wing. I don't know if he's the defensive guy. Luol Deng defensive guy, Jimmy Butler defensive guy from that wing position.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He may really value that defense from that wing position, which is why I think a lot of people like Mikal Bridges would think Mikal Bridges would fit there nicely. You know what I mean? Because, a lot of your best players in the league play that wing position. So you really do need defense there. You need defense from the guard position too, though. Let me get you a phone call. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, Sam. Hey, Tony. This is Jay from Wash Heights. How you doing?
What's going on, Jay? How you feeling?
Doing good. Doing
Peace.
good. I'm just listening. I wanted to see if I can put my 2 cents into all this. Basically,
Without a doubt.
I think if with the whole open season, I'm thinking if the front office really want to make a game-changing move, the only two that I could think of right off the bat would be Spider or Mikal Bridges. If you're gonna go ahead and start moving major pieces of our youth, I think those two would be the only ones that I would make the moves for. What do you guys think?
You said Spider and Mikal Bridges. Now the thing about Mitchell, I know there's been rumors out there that the Knicks may look to re-engage for Donovan Mitchell, but do you think Cleveland's ready to give up on him?
I guess so. I mean, no. But at the same time, I mean, we're talking about youth and the ones that we're all talking about, like all these other players that we're discussing on the chat panel. I mean, they're just they're up there in age.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at for some people like just the caliber of Butler, Spider is he's a hustler, man. He doesn't quit, and that's what we need. And he's not in his twilight yet. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would love for the Knicks to get Donovan Mitchell. Not gonna lie, if they if they make a move for Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell is definitely most likely off the table, right? Because Bradley Beal, that no trade clause would transfer, and there's no way he's gonna agree to a trade to go to Cleveland. Bradley Beal staying on the East Coast until his wife and kids and they decide that they're willing to move wherever. I believe he's staying on the East Coast. So if the Knicks make a move for Bradley Beal, that whole Donovan Mitchell thing is done. If they think they still have a shot at Donovan Mitchell, do they even make the move for Bradley Beal? I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, a couple of years, Donovan Mitchell's going to be a free agent. And I think if there's a spot with the Knicks and the Knicks have the money, that's going to be his first priority, in my opinion. And maybe that's the reason why Cleveland would look to trade him. Because they feel like he's not committed to Cleveland and really wants to be in New York. So I tell you what, Jay. If I'm Leon Rose, I'm at least calling Cleveland and saying, what's up? What are y'all doing? Does he really want to be there? He wants to be in New York. We know he wants to be in New York. What are y'all trying to do? You know what I'm saying?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
You know what I mean? I'm at least making that call. Let them hang up on me, whatever. I'm at least going to make the call.
Exactly. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, though, before you go, because Tony asked me. I want to know what you think. Out of all the players that we talked about, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, Karl Anthony Towns, Kristaps Porzingis, who would you rather the Knicks trade for out of those players?
KP.
Okay.
Yeah, because he wants to be a Knick. Those that want to be in the team, they fight hard for him. They give it their all. They're playing. They're loving the city. They're loving the crowd. When you love your job, you work harder. You enjoy it, just like Josh Hart. So that's who I would go for.
Okay. All right. Do you think Who are you replacing if you're going for KP?
It would have to be Obi.
So you think KP's coming off the bench?
No, he'd have to be the starting five.
Starting five. That's what I'm thinking. If you're getting KP, he's probably going to be their starting five, right? Which would open up the floor for Randall to do his thing, for Brunson to get to the basket, for RJ to get to the basket. You know, I think you're going to be missing some on the defensive side, but KP can block shots too. You know that,
Yep,
and
exactly.
I would think that means Mitchell Robinson probably goes in that trade, unless unless some other things move around and Mitchell Robinson's coming off the bench. But you know, we'll see what's going to happen. I think this lineup is going to, you know, the way things are looking, things could be shook up a little bit there, either during the draft or during this offseason. You know, for
and
the
that
better.
would hurt
For the
because
better.
that would be great if we would keep Mitch. You know.
Yeah, that would be great. You know, if you would be able to keep Mitch. So if KP's not getting it defensively, you could throw Mitch in there to get it done. You know, different lineups, no doubt. Hey, Jay, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for the call.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
All right,
it.
appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Sim, did you answer, or you just say you
I still don't know, man. I don't know because it's tough, man. I can look. I don't know if I can't look at any of those guys and you know and it be a surefire that these guys are gonna turn the Knicks into a contender, right? So I don't know if it's surefire with any of those guys. I can say that all of them have little flaws in their games. I guess everybody in the league is gonna have flaws in their games. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm just a little bit. I don't know. I guess if I had to choose out of all of those guys that we just named, I'd probably go with Zach. Because I think that wing position is our biggest. I mean, the wing and a shooting five. I think those two things are our biggest needs, but I feel like we could get away with a wing that can score, shoot the three, play some defense. I think we could get away with that and take ourselves to another level.
And what do you think his biggest weakness is?
Zach?
Defense?
Probably defense.
And even with that,
defense.
I wouldn't. I mean, me personally,
I'm not going to say it's terrible.
Would you? Okay.
I'm not going to say it's terrible. And who knows, being under Tom Thibodeau and the emphasis and really and the focus on defense, you might bring something out of him that, you know, Steph said it last night. The player that you see on one team may not be the same when they come to the Knicks or get moved to anybody else. They may not be the same. You know what I mean? So I think Bradley Beal would be the guy out of that group of characters.
Levine.
I mean, Zach LaVine, yeah, would be the guy out of that group. He would probably be the guy. Sage of the Knicks Path. Thank you for the super chat. He said, should the Knicks help Brooklyn get Beal if it means we get KP and McCall? I don't know if Brooklyn does that, to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean, if we get KP and McCall Bridges and Brooklyn gets Beal, I would do that. I ain't gonna lie. I if we could help them facilitate that, and then our starting lineup is, you know, we're adding KP and McCall Bridges to our starting lineup, I'd do that. So if that's the question,
KP
yes.
at the 5?
KP at the 5, McCall at the 3. I would do it, yeah. You know, as long as it doesn't.
And who's
kill us.
going out? RJ?
I'm assuming RJ would probably go out in that deal. You know, but we're adding so much more if he did go out in that deal. You know, but why would I don't see Beal agreeing to go to Brooklyn if Mikal Bridges is leaving. You know what I'm saying? And remember, Bradley Beal has control over the player package.
Yes.
He has control over that. You
And
know what I mean?
the reason being is because he could veto the trade. So it's not like he could say, I want to be traded for this guy, this guy, this guy. but basically he could be like, I want to play with this guy,
I want to play with
this
this guy. I want to play
So
with
you
that guy.
you can't include them in the trade. Otherwise,
You know,
it's a no-go.
or they're gonna bring the package to him. Say what he, boom, 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 boom. He's gonna say, they're not gonna have any depth over there. So, nah, I don't like it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see it happening that way because, you're taking out one of the guys that is considered a star with Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I see that happening there. You know what I mean? Let me get to a caller real quick. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please. Caller, you there?
What's good?
What's going
Good.
on?
It's Dan from North Carolina.
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
I'm Tony. It's been a while. Hope
Peace,
everything's
fam.
good.
Yeah, everything is good, man. How you feel? How you feeling about these potential moves the Knicks could make during this offseason?
Reality, honest.
Hey, my
Levine
man,
would be good for us.
you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Maybe try to give us a call back when you have a little better service. But you were breaking up on us and whatnot. Yeah.
I got another question for
All
you,
right.
Sin. So, because you said
Sorry
not
about
sure
that.
if-
Sorry about that.
you said you're not sure if those guys make us contenders, but I'm sure you say any one of those guys would make us a better team.
Yeah.
You're just not sure if we're contenders.
Yeah.
Is there a low key move that you would be for, or a low key player that you would want that, obviously doesn't make us contenders, but you think pushes the needle up a little bit, makes us, you know what I mean? Like, so, because these guys we've been talking about, they're high salary guys, you know what I mean? That you gotta include, whether it be a player you might not want to, or some multiple picks. So is there a low key move that?
That's a good question. A low key move,
Because we talked about it
that
before.
could take us to contenders right now.
I mean, I'm not saying necessarily contenders, because I'm just saying it makes us better, but it's not a detriment as far as like what we have to give up to.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
See,
So
I
it's
think
like,
all of my little moves or low key type moves or players are probably players that other teams, they're not trying to give up. Like I like McDaniels from Minnesota. I like that guy. You know what I'm saying? Plays defense. I think he's got a future in this league. Being a really good player in this league. I like that guy. Like that's the kind of guy that you can get. You get him in there. I don't know if he can play the three or not, but you might be able to pair him on the floor with Randall too. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that kid. I really like that kid.
He I don't know if I don't think they're shopping him per se, but with the new CBA and the contracts, you know what I mean? I think that's why the whole Cat situation is really being talked about,
Mm-hmm.
because with Gobert's money and Cat's money and Ant about to be eligible for an extension, they're gonna have to choose. I don't know if the McDaniels kid is gonna be able to, you know what I mean, be there long term.
Yeah. A guy like that, I think, you got a future to grow with that kid. I think he's going to be an all-star one day. I really do. He might not be right now, but I think one day he will. I wanted the Knicks to draft that kid. You know what I'm saying? He was young and wiry, but I thought I was like, yo, this kid could have something. He could be another. No, he's not going to be Kevin Durant, but I don't think he could. I don't think he's going to be Kevin Durant, but he had that type of skill. I thought, the style of play and things like that. Let me try to call her again. See if we got some better reception. Caller, Dan, I think it is. What's poppin' with you, my man?
What's going on, Sim?
There we go.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, bad connection. But like I was saying, I'm not feeling Beal or Levine really. And
Okay.
it's mainly because of injury issues and contract. And with, like Tony was saying, with the new CBA, if we don't win right away, then we just shot ourselves in the foot for the future.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not really feeling that. I feel that we could probably sign Kuzma and trade for KP at a better package, or even if we're going to push the chips in, like they were saying earlier, Mikal Bridges or go for Brandon Ingram. I'd rather push the chips in for one of those two than I would for Beal or Levine.
Yeah. Okay. Out of Brandon Ingram and Mikal Bridges, I think I would go with Mikal. I'm not because
I would go with Mikal
because he's an Iron Man. He's an Iron
Yep.
Man. He's gonna be there for you.
82 games.
Well, not only that, but he played with Brunson and Hart.
Exactly.
So, and he has that dog in him. So, if I'm gonna push the chips in, I'm pushing it for somebody like that. If they can't pry him from Brooklyn, which I think with enough picks, and if we send Barrett and somebody, and whatever Fournier for cap, for the cap space, but I think that's who I would go after, somebody like that. I'm not necessarily enticed with Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine, because I think, especially like with Zach LaVine, I'm not comparing the two players, but I think it would wind up as the same situation as Victor Oladipo did with Miami, or Anthony Davis in LA. We got enough people in street clothes at the Garden. We don't need them in street clothes.
Yeah.
I think that narrative is overblown though. Levine has not been hurt like people make it seem. Like, look at the amount of games he's played, over the past 5 years. He's not on that list. You know what I mean? Like, I think people put him there, but he shouldn't be there.
Last year, he wasn't on the list. He played the most games he did in the last 4 seasons. But the thing is, especially with the surgery he's had, you have more risk of that coming back, especially with, more wear and tear. And we know how Tibbs is playing these guys. So,
and Zach knows how Tibbs is, because, Zach played for Tibbs for a little bit. So, I think, he definitely knows what to expect. Zach LaVine, early in his career, I think he was more injured earlier in his career than later, right? First season, he played 77 games. Second season, he played 82 games. Then he played 47 games, 24 games, and then he's back up to 63, 60, 58, 67, 77. And 77 was last season, so it's not too bad as far as the injury history is concerned. Each year, Zach has gotten better. He's gotten better each year. He is, how old is Zach LaVine? 27 years old.
Prime.
He's one of those guys that you'd be getting right on the cusp of their prime, or right at the beginning of their prime. But I understand the argument both ways. But if I had to choose out of all of those guys, I think Zach, for me, would be the one if I had to choose out of all of those guys.
He did make a great point, though. And it made me think about changing my stance on Beal. Because we could get Kuz and KP for the same money.
Exactly. And that's what I feel. And not only that,
would make the same amount as Beal, pretty much.
Yeah. Now, I mean, listen, that would be good. I mean, you got to give up some pieces to make that move, but I mean, that's something to think about.
And I was watching a interview with KP about a week or so ago, and he was saying how good of friends he is with Kuz now, and how they work. So, you know what? Bring them both together, and I think that KP with Kuz in our lineup would do better, even if we had to put Barrett in that trade. Randall, send Randall down there, then I think it would work out better.
Okay. Hey, let's see what happens. Dan, hey, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for the call.
No problem.
No doubt. Shout out to my man Kareem. He said just purchased. Got another phone call, obviously. You guys hear that. Kareem, he said he just purchased his train tickets and he's on his way to the first barbecue, the first MBK cookout. It's going to be dope. Kareem, looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. It's going to be pretty dope, man. It's going to be pretty dope. So let's get to the caller. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yo, what's going on? What's going on, man? My name is Save, calling from Delaware. I'm from Jersey originally, man. So check this out, right? The only moves I see that we can make that make the most sense, that's actually doable, is KP for Randall, straight up trade, right? From there, we pay attention to Toronto, right? If Van Vliet leaves, if he leaves, Toronto's going to be one to rebuild. You trade RJ and a bunch of draft picks, 2 first round unprotected, 2 second rounds, and we get Pascal Siakam. Forget OG. I don't know why we talking about OG. And that Bradley Beal thing, I don't want to touch Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal turns 30 this month. At the end of that contract, he's going to be making $60 million at age 34.
Mm-hmm.
His timeline doesn't match ours.
Okay.
And his stats, check his stats. His stats are not even near what Pascal Siakam's is. Pascal Siakam is 24 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and for less money than Bradley Beal. That's what I think makes sense. So you think about KP at the starting, Obi at the 4, Pascal at the 3, who was it? All right, Pascal at the 3, Grimes, and JB. That's a championship contender right there. That's a championship contender. It's not that. Stand pat and find you some knockdown shooters. That's what we need. Look at Miami. Find you some knockdown shooters that can really shoot. I mean, really specialist. Pat Riley's a brilliant dude because he looks for guys who can run around the floor, run you rampant, and knock down them threes for cheap.
Mm-hmm. So you think Pascal can play the 3? I would think you would be. I think Pascal's better suited at the 4.
No, Pascal at the 3, man. That gives us a big 3, a large, tall, lanky 3 that could defend 2s and 3s or 4s. And you put Obi. If you give Obi consistent minutes where he's not looking behind his shoulder, worried about being put on the bench, I guarantee you by 10 games in, Obi will be averaging around 18 or 20 points and be giving you at least 6 to 8 rebounds consistently. If his confidence is up, Obi's going to be a very good player if he has confidence and he knows that he's not going to be getting yanked through mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of moves, man. That's a lot of moves. You're not afraid.
They're all doable. They're doable.
I mean, they're doable.
They're very doable. RJ and a bunch of draft picks for Siakam is doable if they're trying to rebuild.
No, what I'm saying is you don't feel like you're messing up with everything too much. You're making some drastic moves instead of like, okay, now we add another piece. Let's see where we go. We add another piece. Now you're taking 2/3 of your lineup out.
It's 2 players. It's 2 for 2. It's 2 for 2. It doesn't make us better.
That's what I'm saying. Well, 2/5 of you take a 2/5 of your lineup out. I mean, that's a big part of your starting lineup. Now you're not worried about them. Okay, you don't know if they're gonna mesh. Hopefully they do. Are you worried about how they come together? That you're messing with it too much.
Let me ask you this. Those 2 moves, do they make us better defensively?
What Pascal does, I don't know about KP. I don't know about KP defending at the 4.
KP to Randall. Compare KP to Randall.
I think Randall's a better defender than KP.
You think Randall's a better defender?
Than KP?
He can defend better than KP, but he doesn't.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what. You're asking KP to guard who? If you got Mitchell Robinson guarding 5s, who's KP guarding? Other 4s?
No.
No.
KP's the 5. You bring Mitchell off the bench. You bring Robinson off the bench. KP's the 5.
Yeah, he want
Obi at the 4. I don't think that makes us. First of all, I don't think KP's a better defender than Mitchell Robinson, and I don't think Obi's a better defender than Julius Randle.
Julius Randle's not a good. Julius Randle chooses to not defend because he wants to reserve his energy for offense. The minutes he plays, that Tibbs plays him, that guy is not trying to exert himself on defense because he's trying to reserve himself for offense. So he doesn't play defense by default. He can because physically he's a specimen. So if he chose, play this, if his minutes decreased by like 8 minutes, you would see Julius Randle play defense dramatically.
But
right?
If you bring but think about this. If you bring in a player at a wing position that's another scorer and he has less of the scoring load, maybe that does exactly what you're saying. Because because looking at that lineup, I think you upgrade. If I don't know if Pascal plays it, is going to play that 3, but let's just go with your scenario. I think you upgrade at the 3. I think you downgrade defensively at the 4. I think you downgrade defensively at the 5. I don't know.
You downgrade offensively at the 4.
I don't know.
Right.
I think that's
I'll say this, right? This is the thing about basketball, right? What we also have to take into consideration is that the danger that we pose offensively tires out the other team. So when how hard you got to work on defense, it kind of affects how well you play on offense. Your focus by the end of the game, if you're working hard on defense, your mental focus by the end of the game is shot. This is why the champions are champions, because their mental focus. Players who are superstars, they're able to stay focused enough towards the end of the game and still be their optimum selves by the end of the game. You see what I'm saying? So if you're working hard defensively against cats like KP, against cats like Pascal Siakam, Jalen Brunson, that's a lot of offense. And always not no slouch offensively. That's a lot of offense you got to worry about. So by the end of the game, you're going to be tired too, because our offense is going to be that much better. And Pascal is pretty good at defense. KP's a shot blocker. Not saying KP going to be like a major defensive player, but goddamn it, he's going to open up that floor. If we got
he's going to open up the floor.
We got 5 shooters.
He's going to open
5 shooters though.
He's going to open up the floor, no doubt about it. I don't know, man.
So
I think it's a lot.
Though.
I think it's a lot of changes. I just think it's a lot of changes, man. All at once.
I feel you.
I think it's a lot all at once.
But look, I feel you. It is a lot of changes, but if you got 5 shooters out there, what is Jalen Brunson going to be doing? If you space the floor out and open the floor up with 5 shooters that you got to respect, what is Jalen Brunson going to do in that paint?
All right. I take it. Hey, my man, I appreciate. What's your name again? Dan?
Yo, my name is C, man.
C. Hey, I appreciate the time, man. Appreciate the call. We'll see if Leon Rose listening in and makes these calls you talking about.
Hey, man, listen, man. Look. If Van Fleet leaves, like you said, Toronto's probably going to be looking to rebuild.
Yeah, they will.
And rebuilding means you want draft picks.
Yeah,
we got a bunch of them. RJ and a bunch of draft picks. We can get Siakam from them.
Huh? All right.
That's a good squad, bro.
All right.
That's a good squad.
All right.
All right.
Hey, appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thank you for giving me some more time to speak my mind. I appreciate y'all. I watch the show all the time, man. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good one, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good one. I don't know, Tony. Would you do that?
Nah.
A lot of moves.
Nah.
A lot of moves.
That's 40% of our starting unit changing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a lot of moves. I like the thinking, though. You know what I'm saying? I like the thinking.
My low-key move that I think changes a lot, I'm not going to say it automatically makes us a contender, but I think it changes the dynamic of the team. And we talked about it last week, I think. Myles Turner, man.
Oh, yeah.
Myles Turner. I think bringing him in where he could play that starting 5 position, he could stretch the floor, open the paint, you know what I mean? Open the floor for Randall, RJ, Brunson, and we don't lose anything defensively, at least at rim protecting. I'm not sure how great he is as far as like pick and roll defense and things of that nature, but I know he's led the league in blocks. I know he's been up there when he didn't lead the league in blocks. So and we can get him for relatively cheap. You know what I mean? Like the contract is not, what is it, 20, 18,
Yeah,
20
yeah,
million?
and it goes down, I believe, too.
And it goes down.
Yeah.
So you you know what I mean? We're talking about one player, you know what I mean? Maybe one draft pick,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? The younger player that they want that may be the equivalent of a draft pick. You know what I mean? And then whatever it takes to match the rest of the salary. But yeah, I think that's a low key move. Doesn't gut the team, doesn't gut our assets, improves the team. Um, I
I mean,
know.
listen, there's a possibility. I mean, it still changes a large portion of your lineup, but there's a possibility that you could get a wing and Myles, a starting wing and Myles Turner. I think there is a possibility.
Oh, absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Like it doesn't hamper your next move.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't hamper your next move.
Right.
So I think that's something that I would look into. I mean, we're talking about stretch fives and cat and KP, but if you could get a guy who does relatively the same things,
He can stretch. He
you
can
know what I
stretch it.
mean?
He may not be as
You,
fluent, as KP, different style of shooting as fluent as KP, because, KP can do things like come off screens and stuff like that
Mhm.
at 7'3", but he can still
Yeah,
shoot
he's
it.
more of a catch and shoot. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
but he can
But
still shoot it.
it gives you that dynamic. You know what I mean? You don't lose. You're not worried about excuse me, the defensive
Right,
side. You know what I
right,
mean? Like
right.
so I think it just fills so many holes. And the only concern obviously is, you know what I mean, how many games is he gonna play? But if you're gonna take a risk on how many games the player is gonna play, you would hope that the salary reflects that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now it's like, all right, we're not paying him 30 million,
Nah,
40
I dig
million,
it.
and he
Yeah.
might miss 30 or 40 games. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right. He's definitely on a pretty good contract. No
So
doubt about that.
that's the guy I think that is low key, won't hurt a future move,
Hmm.
and it could really help the team. I mean, it could help Randall in the sense of like they work out in the
They
summer.
work
They
out
obviously
together.
know
Yeah,
each other. You know
right.
what I mean? Like, so I'm assuming they're good friends. So now you got Randall got a friend, Brunson got a friend. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, right.
it could
Everybody got
it can really
somebody
just
except for RJ.
open up the I mean, yeah, RJ got to get.
You gotta get somebody. You gotta get somebody. Let me get to a phone call. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, Winston. I'm out in Indiana.
Winston, what's going on, man? How you feeling? Winston from Indiana on the line.
Yeah. I'm just following with the previous caller.
Okay.
I agree with him when he talks about Randall. I agree with him that Randall can play good defense, but he doesn't. He just doesn't. The way he should. He has the ability. That guy have a really good ability to play defense, but he doesn't the way he should. So for that reason, what I would have done, I would send Randall to the Wizards for KP and the number 8 pick. Send Randall to the Wizards for KP and the number 8 pick.
So you think Randall's getting you KP and the number 8 pick?
And the number 8 pick. And the Randall is rated higher than KP right now. Randall, because when I look at the ratings, Randall was all-star.
Mm-hmm.
He was an all-star last year, but the previous year. Then he made the all-NBA teams. So Randall is rated higher than KP right now. And Randall is going to give the Wizards more games than KP. So the guy is like a Mack truck. He's not injury prone. So we get in KP. Listen, the Knicks have good executives. That's the difference with this regime. So get KP on the number 8 pick. And we know what Leon Rose is going to do with the number 8 pick. He's going to trade it back for more assets. Then he's going to go down and probably pick up Chris Murray or one of those guys. Then you're going to tinker with it now, send RJ Barrett to Brooklyn and get Michael Bridges. I'm gonna tell you why I'm going that way.
All right.
Because Jalen Brunson played with KP in Dallas, and he played with Michael Bridges when he was in college. So now, even though you're changing two major pieces of the team, the point guard is accustomed to those guys. If you got KP and Michael Bridges with Jalen Brunson, I think that's a championship team.
I mean, I guess my question is, why would Washington give us KP and the number 8 pick for Randall? That's what I want to know. I don't think they would do that.
If you want to sweeten it, you can send Emmanuel quickly down there, because Emmanuel quickly is from the DMV area.
Right.
And if you notice, the Knicks are inviting people that are guards in to test them out, because they figure they might lose Emmanuel quickly. So if you want to sweeten the pot, send Emmanuel quickly down there. You're still going to have Jalen Brunson. You're still going to have Deuce McBride. And Deuce McBride is a good defender.
He is.
At that position.
He's
So
a
you're
good
still going to
defender.
have Deuce McBride.
I don't know, man.
Check this out.
It's hard for me to see Washington doing that.
Bridges on that team and KP with Jalen Brunson, I think that's the Eastern Conference Finals, possibly threatening to go to the championship.
But it's just hard if Washington is rebuilding, they want that 8th pick, wouldn't they?
Or do we know? Do we know for sure that they're gonna? Maybe it's not going to be.
I think he's saying they're not rebuilding.
Or do we know it's going to be a total tear down?
Better.
So you're saying that they're not going to rebuild and Randall, and then you're pairing Randall with Bradley Beal.
I don't think the Wizards want a total tear down right now.
Okay. All right. I mean, Randall with Bradley Beal is basically the Knicks, Jalen Brunson and Randall.
Listen. I like Bradley Beal. But you can get 2 for 1 with Bradley Beal. That's too much money. Leon Rose is not going to go for that. Leon Rose is cheap.
Okay.
If you haven't studied Leon Rose, he is cheap. He's not going to go for that that $57 million or $60 million at the back of the contract. No way. He's not going to do that.
I don't know. Listen, he hasn't taken a big chance yet. At some point, he's going to take one. At some point, I don't know if it's on Bradley Beal, but at some point, he's going to take a chance. At some point, he's got to.
I think he'd rather go for Mitchell. Than go for Bradley Beal.
Oh yeah, well, of course, I think they would. But I don't think Mitchell's available.
Expensive. The contract is less expensive.
I don't think Mitchell's available though.
He's not available, but guess what happened? It may be not this year, but it may be next year. Because if he doesn't want to be in Cleveland, Cleveland has got to trade out of that contract because they gave up so much for him. You can't just let him walk.
Yeah, I know. I think
if Cleveland let Donovan Mitchell walk, that manager loses his job.
But they have another. He's not going to be a free agent this year. He's got what 2 more years, Tony?
But you got to trade out of him with the last year left on this contract. That's what I'm talking about. Even if it's 3 years, by the last year you got to trade out of it.
Right. I mean, they got some time to try to convince him to stay in Cleveland. But hey, I mean, I don't know if the Knicks is getting KP in the 8th pick for Randall. But if the Washington Wizards would do that, I would do it.
Listen, you don't have, you don't know. Look at what Sacramento did with Indianapolis. Ken Halliburton.
Okay.
Who would have thought that they would have done that? If you don't ask, you don't know.
You're right about that. And if I thought I could get it done, if I'm Leon Rose and I think it's available, I'd make that call. And I'd probably get a click, but I'd make the call. Hey, Winston, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
You take care of yourself, brother.
All right, take care, bro. I appreciate you. Oh, we got another one right away. Let's get to another one. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
I'm on, Sam. You hear me?
You on. You on. What's going on?
What's going on? It's Shot Pie was just chatting in, man. I just want to say thanks. I'm up late listening to you guys, you and Tone, and I just wanted to chime in on what Tone said about Myles Turner, man. I think that would be a better fit for us and a low key move. We move some dead money off the books and try to make that happen.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with Myles Turner at all. You know what I'm saying? I like the fit with this particular basketball team. You know what I'm saying?
He definitely fits well with the team, and I think maybe we could probably move off of maybe like someone like a Mitch and an Obi, maybe a first round pick or something. Like the Detroit 24th pick or something like that. We could probably throw that in to sweeten the deal.
Hey, Shot, my man, I ain't say nothing about Mitch.
Yeah, Tony's trying to get the cake and eat it too.
Mitch.
Yeah, Tony's trying to get the cake and eat it too.
I am a Mitch homer. I want to say I am a Mitch homer, but just as the consensus say, we're playing that 4-on-5 type of basketball right now, and if we could get someone to space that floor, to help these guys drive, Myles Turner's a great opportunity. He's a guy that could step out on the 3-point line. He set solid picks. He just had one of the best years he had this season that just passed. I think he's around 18 points a game. And I mean, I think with the combination with him and Randall knowing each other, let him and Brunson get to know each other. We still keep RJ and see where RJ's at, because at the deadline, if RJ's not doing what he's doing, I'm going to sway your way now, Sim, to Levine. You could also look for Levine at the trade deadline. I mean,
okay.
I think Levine is an awesome player. And I see a lot of people talk about him being hurt, but over the last 5 years or so, he's been about 85% he's played games. He's not really that hurt. Early in his year, he was hurt, but last couple of years, it's about last 5 years, I think it's around 80, 85, somewhere in that 80, 85 range that he has played games, and had a very good year last year, 77 games. Been playing some good basketball. So that would be like the two moves. If I was a GM, if I was putting my GM hat on, those would be the two moves that I would probably try to look for.
Okay.
Not too major. We still keep IQ. We could sign Jay Hard. We could probably sign IQ and still have a little bit of money in the bank. That $12 million, I think, with the moves would keep the money where we at right now. We still have that a section at $12 million or that $4.5 million to go, help get somebody on the bench or something like that. I like Trey Lyles. Maybe we could stick him in there. 6'9" guy that could back up Randall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we get off of Obi, something like that.
Yeah. And see, I like the idea of not being too drastic. Obviously, if you can get a star, you get you a star. But if you can't get a star, I don't see why you got to do something crazy drastic. You know what I'm saying? That's not building to me. You know what I mean? If you gotta move pieces to get a star, that guy that you think is gonna get you over the top, then yeah. But I don't think you have to just tear things up. You can add, you can build pieces, you can make, nice little ancillary moves around the edges, I think, with this team to help you take another step forward. I think you can do that. Myles Turner is like one of those type of things that you can make that I think helps get you a little bit better. And, you can probably still have enough capital to make another move later on when one of those wing guys become available,
Yeah, that's most definitely, man. And that's one of the reasons why when I heard Tone say about Turner, I thought that was a great point, because I think Turner could help the crew. I think the team would have a little bit more, maybe a little bit more offense, at least from that 5 position now. Now we have someone that can can post up, can shoot a short jump shot. You know what I mean? He's a pretty okay rebounder. He's not as good as offensive rebounding as Mitchell Robinson, but defensively, he's going to block some shots for you. You know, he's not going to let nobody intimidate him. And now you might get Julius Randle to play a little bit more defense. You know what I mean? With Myles Turner there, he may want to play a little bit more defense because now he got his Texas homeboy down there with him, and he has somebody that go out to the bar with or whatever you want to call it to the restaurant. You know what I mean? To the restaurant and hang out or something like that. So it may make the team. It may help Julius with Turner on the court, and now we have someone that will open up the floor because usually. Mitch Mann is the man that always double teams when we get into Mitch Mann is the double team. Whenever whoever's Mitch Mann is always double teaming Brunson. Now with Turner, you're not going to be able to do that. And I believe Turner, I watched a couple of games when he set some solid screens. So could you imagine a slight pick and pop with Jalen Brunson and Turner? Turner hits the pick. Brunson breaks down the whole. Both the men drop down and you drop the ball back to Turner. He shoots the three. I mean, that's something to look at. We always keep talking about the 3-point shooting and bringing that stretch man out for us. Perfect guy. I mean, he may not get as many rebounds, but now you got Julius Randle down there that's going to want to be more involved in the game. I believe he'll be a little bit more involved in the game with Turner down there to help him out.
I feel you.
And
he's
half the price of KP. A third of the price of Cat. You know what I mean?
And a better defender than both.
Yeah. Because I'm not really with no Cat. I'm not really with seeing anything with Cat. You know what I mean? That thing is out there. I like KP. I do like KP. And one of the trades that I would have probably tried to, if I was a GM, I would have maybe called and said something about, it's hard to say Julius Randle's name to compare him with KP. But the move that I thought would have been IQ and Randall for KP. You know what I mean? Just like that, no extra picks, anything like that. You know what I mean? And we would have probably still had Mitchell Robinson. But, that makes it a little clunky because I hate to say it out loud, but I'm starting to see it. The problem, if we want to solve a problem with having Julius Randle and RJ on the court, is we have to give them lanes to drive. And Mitch is clogging that lane up a little bit, man. And if we could get somebody to, get out of that middle, we might see a little bit more progression from RJ. We definitely probably see more progression from Grimes shooting the ball a little bit. So, it kind of sounds good to me.
Yeah, I feel you. Shaw Powers, man. That's Shaw Powers on the mic, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you, Shaw. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, man. Thank you both, you guys, man. Great show, and good night.
Good night.
Appreciate
it. Let me get to a couple of super chats here I haven't been able to get to. Danny Thomas, thank you for the super chat. He said I would sign Yuta Watanabe and Jeremy Grant. Thoughts on these two players from the panel? One thing I consider with Jeremy Grant is can he play the three? We talked about this before, Tony. Can he play the three? Because if he could play the three, maybe there's a fit there. I don't know if that's clunky. I don't know much about Watanabe, to be honest with you, but
he's a shooter. But he won't cost much.
Right.
Jeremy Grant, I've always liked him. I think he can. The question really is can he defend the three, right? Because
can he defend it?
When it comes down to the offensive end, he's good enough to fill in. But I think he can. I think some of he may have problems with a 3-guard lineup. Or some of the smaller, more mobile, running around chasing. He's not that type of defender. But if you're talking about bodying up, guarding your man, one-on-one, things like that, I think he'll be fine. You know what I mean? It's really about, the rare three-man that is, running through loops,
running all around and doing all that.
Screens and all that.
Yeah.
That you don't want him doing.
Yeah.
You don't want him guarding that. But other than that, I think he would be fine. At this point, though, I think he's out of the price price range. You know what I mean? Like it would,
Right.
and maybe if Dame goes somewhere, you could then pull off a sign and trade for him.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But other than that, I think he either stays there and builds with Dame or just signs wherever he signs as a free agent. As a free agent, I don't think we get him.
Yeah. Okay. Jay says, Sim, we're so quick to use the word contender, but who in the East scares you? Who really is a definite? East never been like this. The playoffs proved it. Right now, to be honest with you, there's nobody really in the East that I'm afraid of. Because, I mean, Milwaukee was that team that I was afraid of.
I was going to say, when they don't win, you know what I mean? Like, how do you view them? Like, they're still a threat. They're still dangerous.
Right.
I would agree. They're probably the most dangerous, you know what I mean,
Right.
long-term Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I that was the team that I was afraid of. But now when you look at, who knows, they got some free agents. They got some things happening. Their team may change a little bit too.
Yeah,
They may not be as good. You know what I'm saying? So it's open. And this is where I think a lot of people are like, strike now because it's open. You know what I'm saying? There's a chance. We were right in the thick of things. There's a chance. It's open. I think that's where a lot of people want to strike right now because they think the availability is there. And they may not be wrong either. Ricardo says, Sim, I think we need one new star at whatever position besides point guard. 2 or 3 bench pieces, with 2 of 3 being knockdown shooters, no KP and I guess he's saying no Peel. No to KP and Beal. So you want a new starter at whatever position, no matter who it is, besides point
2,
guard.
3, 4, 5.
Right. You don't care what position it is, just a new starter in there somewhere, some fresh blood. I mean, me personally, I just think the position that in the starting lineup that is really open is the wing, right? The 3 position, that wing position. That's the one that's open. Not that Quentin Grimes isn't going to be a good player one day, but I think that's the one where you could say, if we get a star player, we can get one right here. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the position that is the one that should be filled first and foremost, in my opinion, with that consistent player, and I hope that it's a star player, but I think that's the one.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Without it being anything like through the roof, what type of jump do you think Grimes would have to make to where we're not looking for the next guy and maybe saying, like, not saying he's ready right now, but what kind of jump could he make this season that makes you say, you know what, next year or the year after, he might be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he might be.
I need to see more shot making ability from him. Obviously, the consistency. We know he can defend. We know he can defend. The consistency, shot making. Those are the things that I want to see from him.
And then just to dive deeper, do you think, does it have to be like, at this point, is it more like, all right, just make your open looks, make the shots that are created for you, or are you looking for him to?
I'm looking for him to
be creating the shot as well as knocking them down.
As well as knocking them down, because I feel like we need that creator from that position. You know what I mean? Because we need another closer out there. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like. We need another closer. I don't think Julius Randle. I just don't know if he has the mental makeup. Maybe in a couple of years, he does. But right now, I don't think he has the mental makeup to be the closer in those situations. You know what I'm saying?
I don't mind him closing. I just want Brunson to be the guy that said,
yeah,
here, go, go get that one.
Right. But even, I just don't know if he has, I think in those situations, we're better having like Brunson and another shot creator that can get the bucket. I just don't feel like he has it. He has that. You know what I'm saying? Now, he's great at going and grabbing the offensive rebound and putting it back. You know what I'm saying? And getting those hustle buckets. You know what I mean? I think he's great at doing that. And he's still in those crunch moments, I think is gonna eat doing that. You know what I'm saying? And I think he'll do great in that role and still grab 8 points in the fourth quarter or something like that. Because
especially with the focus being on a Brunson and that other guy, now he's just crashing hard.
Right.
You gotta be like, oh yeah, I forgot about me.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I think he'll still come up with some big buckets in those roles, and that'd be perfect for him. But I think we need that guy. You know, we need that guy. I don't know if RJ is it. RJ had a good playoff series, good playoff performance. I don't know if he's it yet. You know, we'll see. There was a question I wanted to get to, Magnum Boom, about Myles Turner. He said, do we get past the Heat with Turner in the second round? I think there's a good chance. Yeah, I think there's a really good chance with him that we do, because when you look throughout the playoffs, one of the big issues that we had was that
for Randall
Mitchell Robinson would be in that dunker spot, the short corners, which allowed his defender to roam. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that hampered, and I'm not making any excuses for Julius Randle, but it made it a little bit more difficult for Randle to be able to get, you know, to do the things that he did too. Because Randle doesn't really have that, you know, that real strong, consistent mid-range shot. So when guys are doubling, not a hard double, but showing, and he knows he doesn't have any lanes to get to the cup, you know, I had that kind of mid-range jump shot where he's just gonna, oh, okay, you doubling there, watch this, bang. He don't have that. That's not Randle. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's been able to make some mid-range shots, and he's done it, but I don't think in pressure moments he's good at making those shots, those mid-range shots. So I think it hurt having Mitch down there and not being able to spread the floor. You know what I mean? Super Prince said they need to stop building around Randle. I don't think they're building around Randle. I think they're building with Randle. I don't think they're building around Randle. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who you put at the 4. Honestly, I don't care who you put there. If you're expecting that guy to go to the basket, Mitchell Robinson's in the way. I don't care who it is. Mitch is in the way. You know what I'm saying? Mitchell, I love Mitchell Robinson and everything he does. I don't want him off the team. I want a guy who can shoot from that position, because it's going to open the floor for everybody. You know what I mean? For everybody, it's going to open the floor up, make it easier. You know, without Mitch, his offensive rebounding, we might not have beaten the Cavs. I agree. Maybe we didn't. But also without Mitch, me and Tony talked about this before, maybe we don't need to get as many offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
open the lane, they're making more baskets.
They're
not going over 2 defenders.
That
center, you beat your man, it's an open lane.
Right. That center spot is making some baskets. So now that center spot is a threat, which is making that defender worry about that person there. You know what I'm saying? Those things
Maybe
make a
somebody
difference.
else gets the offensive rebound now because the center is actually taking a shot, and the defensive center is guarding, which is taking him, you know what I mean, away from the rim.
Yeah, makes a difference. I love Mitch and everything he does. I really do. I just wish that he would be able to score a little bit more.
And that's why I always say, like, I said earlier, I wasn't talking about including Mitch necessarily. Yeah. Mitch could still be on the team and you know what I mean, just run with the second unit. I honestly, I said this early last year. I don't see a problem. I mean, I like the way Mitch plays with the second unit because they run more and they actually look for him more. You know what I mean? With the lob.
Yeah.
And that goes back to when Derrick Rose did play, Quickly does, Hart does.
Yeah. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please.
Hey, what up, Sam? This is Silk Sutton from Brooklyn. How y'all doing?
What's going on, man? How you feeling? What's your name again?
Silk Sutton.
Silk Sutton. Oh, Silk Sutton. Yeah. What's going on with you, bro?
Yeah, I'm with the Carmelo Anthony prank, you know. Just playing with y'all. I was nervous tonight, man. I was listening to. I thought we were getting the NBK 2K trades up in here till that last call. It got back to normal. I was like, okay, now we get back to normal. Trading half our first starting five. We were getting a little crazy. But since I wanted to let you know, Levine is not bigger than RJ. Levine is 6'5". I look up his height. So basically, Levine really with Chicago wasn't playing the 3. He was playing more the 2 guard.
Right.
Than the 3. Because
Right.
DeRozan was playing more the 3.
I agree.
So I'm not sure if Levine plays with us at the 3, which is a position that guys always get hurt.
Yeah.
Will he stay as healthy at the 3?
Because he would probably, I think he would play the 2 for us, and RJ would play the 3.
But I suppose they want RJ. And it's Grimes and they got to put Levine at the 3.
Right. You know.
That's the only thing I see out of everybody. I'm kind of shaky with Bill too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Levine first. We're back. Really, it's Brandon Ingram first for me. Levine, then it's like no choice. Bill and CP3. It's the possible people I'll be looking to try to bring on this team. But Levine, I just worry if he has to go to a position he ain't played in a while, instead of a 2, the 3, is the injury going to come back?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Really good question. You know, hopefully the years that you looked at where he played like 27 games and stuff like that, you know, boom, he had, you know, serious injuries. But some of those other years where, you know, 60 games, you know, sometimes if you're playing on a team that you know is not going anywhere,
shut it down.
you know, you be like, you know what, I'm not gonna, I ain't even gonna, I'm sitting out. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're playing for a team that's good in contention or whatever it is, you might fight through a few more of those things. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he's gotten to a point, let's hope that he's gotten to a point where he's able to take care of his body better. Because sometimes it takes these guys a little while to learn it, takes care of his body a little bit better, understands, you know, when you're younger, you just wilding out on the court. You're doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? You jumping over people. You doing this. You doing that. You get a little bit older. You're like, all right,
Reckless abandon.
yeah, you know, I don't have to do all of that. I can just bang, bang, and do this. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more body control. Hopefully he's at that point. It's the only thing.
Right.
That's the only thing I can really say. You know what I mean?
True.
Hey, I want to ask Silk. What are your thoughts on Kuzma?
He's too flaky for me. I don't know. He's too cool for school. I don't think Kuzma is a serious player. He makes me nervous with that kind of showboat, flashy boy coming to New York. How that's going to play here? I like his style. I like how you play, but he's just, I don't know, a little flaky with me.
Kuzma, he's a little different. He's a little different. You know what I mean?
And will that play in New York though?
I mean, he can hoop though.
Huh?
I think as long as he balled out, he could do whatever he wanted to do off the court, dress and all that kind of stuff. As long as he was hooping, I think the fans would be cool with him.
Yeah, as soon as he had that game, though, they gonna be like, yeah, see that sweater? That sweater was holding him back.
His clothes are too big. When you know.
You know, Kuzma, I think it was Westbrook with us. They be talking more about his clothes and what he's wearing, flip-flop pajamas and stuff like that than what is there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Kuzma's a good player. It just, I don't think he's better than Randall. I don't think he will put us over to the. See, Brandon Ingram's my guy.
Okay.
I want Brandon Ingram, but I don't think Tibbs likes 6'8", 6'9" guys that shoot and score. I think he likes the 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guys.
We was talking about that earlier.
I don't think he wants to say 6'9".
Yeah.
But you never hear 6 in Brandon Ingram. You don't. You hear rumors about everybody else, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", but you don't hear rumors about Nick going after Brandon Ingram.
Right.
Or the guys of that size.
Right.
And
that's my choice.
I ain't gonna stir nothing up, but we seen what happened with Cam too.
I know.
You ain't lying. Right. You see what happened with Cam. I don't know.
So
I mean, I think he does.
That's my choice. If I had a choice, the Nick could go after first. But I ain't talk. I can't do Zion. busting too many injuries. I can't give a half my lot, even though I know he could probably be better than Randall. But that's a risk, and we could be going backward like we did that Bargnani trade with Toronto. We think we getting somebody who's good and injury prone and don't play well, then we lost 3 years.
Yeah, that's I every time I think about KP, the Knicks traded for KP, I get visions of Andre Bargnani. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. So we remember that year we went to the finals and we traded off all the guys that got us there. That Bargnani trade that put us back, way back, and that's why I'm scared with Zion. I'm scared Zion. We're gonna get him, and he's gonna miss 2 or 3 years on that contract and gonna put us way back. We were like 1 or 2 players away, and we took a shot at the gold ring, and the gold ring turned into a silver coin.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
I like Zion. I rather stick with Randall. He's consistent. He ain't the best. He ain't the greatest. But we pretty much know what we're going to get right.
You know what you're going to get,
we
right?
Get a star. We'll get a sometime all-star. And we just need to get guys around him to help him out. With Brunson, and I'm telling you, I would love Brandon Ingram on this team with Grimes. Brunson, Grimes, Brandon Ingram, Randall. And we put Mitch to the bench and we get a stretch 5, I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, I feel you. I like Brandon Ingram. I really do. He's got to stay healthy too, but I really like Brandon Ingram. But Silk, I appreciate your time, man.
All right, brothers. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Peace.
All right.
You know, with Randall, it's kind of like, for a lot of people, I like Randall. You know what I mean? But for a lot of people, it's like, you got a used car. You ain't trying to go buy another used car because at least you know what you got in your used car. You know what I'm saying? You might have to pop the clutch in that mug. You might have to, you know what I'm saying? You know every time you stop at the light, it's going to cut off and all that. You know what I'm saying? You know what's going to happen. But if I go get that used car, I don't know what's in it. So I know mine. You know what I mean? I know mine. So, until I can get a new one, I'm going to just rock with this one right here. It's kind of like that. Yeah. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Nick said nice that Randall is a Honda. What you gonna do, man? I don't know. I think it's gonna be a busy offseason for the Knicks. Busy offseason,
For us too, man. A lot of speculation, a lot of talk. We breezing through them though.
Right. Yeah. Nick so nice said durable. He's a Honda. Durable, old Honda Accord, but it's still ticking though. 300,000 miles.
I was gonna say I get you well over 100,000.
You know what I'm saying? No doubt. But anyway, man, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. I think I got a super chat though that I might have missed. Did I miss one? Yeah. Trav B. Ryan said, "Thank you for the super chat." By the way. He said, Jeremy Grant's the second worst player against zone defense. Teams play zone defense all the time against us. That was the reason the Heat beat us. Teams do play a lot of zone against us. The Knicks haven't been that great against the zone either. You know what I mean? I don't know how much of that is due to the players or just the schemes that we use playing against the zone too. That's all the more reason why you need more shooters out there on the floor. Help beat that zone, Anyway, I'm about to get up out of here, man. It's been a really, really fun show. A couple of things I think I want to clip out, especially that whole Randall for KP in the 8th pick. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely clipping that one out. That was a good one though. That was a fun one. I don't know if that happens, but I'm clipping it.
Yeah, I just think it's funny when people talk about, we got to trade Randall, and then they try to give him the value to the other team.
Yeah, I was thinking that when Winston was talking about it, he was like, he's better than KP, all-star, all-NBA. He does this, he does that. So we're going to trade him over there. I'm like, damn, they be killing me.
You selling them. You selling them all right.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
You selling them. Yo, that was a good call, though. You know what I'm saying? In the chat, man, 66% of the people in the chat say no to trading for Bradley Beal. 34% say yes to trading for Bradley Beal. I mean, I think most fans are not on board, not right now, with trading for Brad because of that contract, I think. Because of that contract. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, one last time, let me remind you, we got 2 great events going on. We got a draft party June 22nd, next Thursday at Legends, 5 minutes away from the Garden. You know what I mean? It's going to be dope. We're going to have fun there. I think, the Knicks are going to make a move during the draft, and I want to be there with everybody when it goes down. So if you can make it, please join us. Free event. The link is tagged to the top of your YouTube chat. It's also in the description of the video, and of course, I'm putting it in the chat right now, so you can go check it out. We also have our first annual summer cookout. You know what I mean? It's going to be outside of Albany. It's going to be dope. It's going to be fun, man. We're going to have a good time. We're going to play some basketball games. Isaiah might get done up again. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we get a Tony and Eru rematch, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
We'll finish this one.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're going to play some other games. People be playing cards. We got some long games going on, music, food. It's going to be a dope time. We're just going to Knicks fans chilling, talking about the Knicks, having a good time. So if you can join us, please join us. You can get your tickets tonight, tomorrow. That way, if you're buying a ticket that has a T-shirt package, we can get those T-shirts ordered tomorrow, all right? H Money 821 said, what's the exact location outside of Albany? It's going to be Coxsackie, New York. So it's like 20 minutes south of Albany. It's a nice little park there that's kind of perfect for what it is that we want to do. So, that's where it's going to be at. Coxsackie is probably most famous for AZ putting it in a song, because, sent to Coxsackie in Coxsackie's prison or something like that. But, it's a nice little spot, with some little shops and things in the little downtown area. So it's a dope little spot for us to be.
Family friendly.
Family friendly, man. Family friendly. And, it's not lost on us that people in the city want to do it too. So, later on when we get closer to the season, we're looking to do another cookout to kick off the season that's probably, in the city. But if you can make it up for this, this Knicks fans there too. You know what I mean? So come on out and join us. It's going to be a dope time. The link is in the description of the video. It's tagged to the top of your YouTube chat. I'm putting it in the chat as I speak. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony, any last words before we get out of here?
I'll be back on Saturday evening. So check me out, Knicks and Bruises.
No doubt.
Sim, appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it, man. It's been a long time since I, did a show that was 2 hours and 30 minutes long, but it was fun. Definitely worked. It was
blew
fun.
by, too.
Yeah, it blew by, without a doubt. Folks, we out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Nick.